Hi guys, Rhi here. Welcome back to the podcast and another episode of Real Talk with Rhi after my little summer hiatus. Did you miss me? I mean, it's possible you've been hanging out with me on my main channel or my Disney channel. But if you're just kind of a podcast listener / watcher, hello. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I'm actually coming at you in September. It is September of 2024. I'm filming this in August, filming it a little ahead of time just so that it's ready there for you because when you are seeing / hearing this, we will have just got back from our cruise on the Disney Dream. So all of the vlogs for that will be over on my Mummy Before Death Disney channel. But yeah, I'm coming at you from the summer holidays, yet talking to you when we're kind of into back to school mode. And what I want to talk to you about today is how for September for me, as a mum with 4 children, 3 of which still at home full time in 2 different schools. Back to school for me is more of a new year, new start than actual new year. I feel like it really is a fresh start, time for new beginnings, new habits, new opportunities to kind of get everything, back like flowing. And don't get me wrong, we've had a lovely summer. I would imagine by the time you're listening to this, we've had an amazing time on the cruise. I don't know. We haven't actually been yet at the time I'm talking to you. But, we've had a lovely time. But let's face it, 6 weeks, which is what we get in the UK, for the children to be off school, is a long time. It is a long flipping time to be out of routine, a really long time. And it's been lovely to have my children home. And I feel, I'm very blessed and all the things we're supposed to feel about these summers we get with our children, these 18 summers, which, by the way, I would like to think that I will still see my children over the summer after they're 18. And our eldest is over 18 and I'm still seeing him over the summer. You know what I mean? It's like, so he's not been home every day, but that's by the by. It's not what I was talking about today. But 6 weeks of not really having a lot of routine. I still probably have more routine than parents with neurotypical children. Because if you don't know, if you haven't been here before, all 4 of my children have autism. So rely on routine to kind of feel sort of safe, stable, secure. So we still keep a lot of elements routine through the summer. Obviously, there's not nearly as much routine as there would be that would be naturally imposed by school, although we do probably have more routine than most households. And for me, who I keep wanting to say I've got ADHD now, I clearly have had it all my life. I've just realised I've had it this year. It's this year that I have found out that I've got ADHD. It is not new. I have not just got it. It is not something you catch. But I keep wanting to say I've got ADHD now. But what I've come to realise is although my children thrive on routine because they need it to kind of feel safe, secure, that kind of, safe and secure, it's comforting to them. For me, I need routine to automate things in my brain. For me, routine helps me because it's like paying a bill on direct debit. It's done and you don't have to think about it every month. That's what routine does for my ADHD brain. This is what I have learned. So today I want to talk to you about, this very long-winded way again to the point, isn't it, Rhi? But I want to talk to you about how we can make this back to school like our best new year. And really, if you think about it as mums, it's such big transition from that 6 weeks of having our kids home, which is lovely. But I think a lot of us are craving that kind of routine. And especially those of us who work from home, are struggling with the juggle of the childcare and all the things. And for me, that has been a real challenge this summer, trying to get enough done to satisfy the fact that I'm working enough in order to, earn money and pay bills. These boring things us adults have to do, but also spending enough quality time with the children. And that is something that feels quite difficult during the summer, I think, especially if you don't have grandparents that take the children for days at a time so you can get on with things. And I know I'm not the only one that's in that position, that the parents in the home are the primary and the only caregivers. So for anyone that has found the summer, great, lovely, but also quite challenging, and we have had some challenges this summer that I'm not going to go into now, but they have been, let's just say it's not all been sunshine and roses. So anyway, we're going to go into why I think this back to school is going to be really good for all of us, and how we can make it really great for all of us. So like I said, we've had 6 weeks. It's time to go back to school. After Christmas, think about it, they're only on for 2 weeks. And then we're like, ooh, new school year. And it feels like a fresh start, but this feels so much bigger. The children are physically going into new school year. So it feels quite big for the children. My our youngest, I use that interchangeably, our youngest, and people pick me up on that online, like, why do you say my sometimes are? Slip of the tongue. They're all our children. Anyway, our youngest is going into the junior, so that feels like a big adjustment for her. And while I know there are going to be some difficulties transitioning into this new routine, I ultimately think it's going to be better for Zara, our youngest, because there's going to be more routine in the juniors, because it's not so like, let's do whatever. So what can we do in order to lean into this fresh start and really make it beneficial to us? What can we put in place to help us get back to routine? Because I know I'm not the only one that kind of feels like it's time. At the end of the summer holidays, it's like, as whether you found it a massive challenge or you've loved every second, I think there are very few parents that aren't like, okay, 6 weeks, like it's time to kind of go back to some form of routine now. So obviously, if you've been around here for a while, you will know, especially if you've been on my main channel, you will have seen I've done a lot of morning routine videos. I honestly feel like morning routines, it's like the glue that holds the rest of the day together. And I feel like it's like the getting out on the right side of bed analogy, but continued on, isn't it? So they say, if I got her out of the wrong side of bed this morning, having a morning routine that is not going well is like getting out on the wrong side of bed. And every time you do something that enhances your morning routine, that makes it easier, that makes it more enjoyable, it's like it's elevating your mood, it's greasing the wheels, it's eliminating friction, and it's helping start the day by getting out on the right side of bed. You start by getting out on the right side of bed, and then continue to do things that make you feel like you've got on the right side of bed. Because ultimately, when we're like, yeah, today's going to be a good day, then that's the time you notice how sunny it is, and you are feeling more energized, so you're more likely to do your workout, and it's like an upward spiral, Whereas on the days you're like, oh, I just don't want to, and then you sleep through your alarm. Those are the days you stub your toe, and then, the belt loop on your jeans, it gets caught in the door, and then you're tying your hair up, and your elastic snaps as you're trying to put a ponytail in, and it's a downward spiral, So our morning routine, getting that right, sets up our whole day, and it has such a knock-on effect for the rest of the day. Now, my morning routine's been quite different through the summer, because I have been endeavouring to get up and work as much as I possibly can, as much as I humanly can, before the children get up. The children will normally, and sort of by the time you see this, we're back to school, will have alarms of their own, and when their alarms go off, then they start getting out of bed and going to the toilet and cleaning their teeth and attempting to get dressed and things. And then I obviously kind of G all that along. But during the summer, I get up early, so I get up at 5, and I come downstairs and I have a walking treadmill. I get straight on that, and I hammer out, like all summer I've been hammering out 10,000 steps before the children get up and working, and the working helps my ADHD brain to concentrate, and it also helps to get in the exercise. So if during the rest of the day I just haven't been able to get in the movement, or haven't been able to get in the work, it's like eating the frog. So that's what I've been doing. I've not been getting up and journaling. I've not been doing yoga till later in the day. I've not been doing other exercise till later in the day. But I think for back to school, I'm probably going to go back to my more traditional morning routine, which generally looks like getting up, hydrating a lot. So I like to grab this holds, sorry, if you're listening, you can't hear it. I'm holding a very large cup with a straw. And this holds 1.2 litres. I'm just going to have a drink. Just hydrating as we go. That holds 1.2 litres, and I try and get through as much of that as possible, as early as possible, because we are made of water, and if we dehydrate ourselves, it's like sucking away our life source. So I like to get up and hydrate as much as possible. I feel that so many of life's problems can actually be solved by hydrating. It's like, I feel tired, I probably need to hydrate. I have a headache, I almost definitely need to hydrate. brain fog, almost definitely dehydrate. So many things can be so much easier by drinking a lot of water. So I like to hydrate a lot. I will probably go back to doing a workout before the children get up. During the summer, they've actually been getting up and just doing a workout with me in their PJs after breakfast, which has been kind of fun, and it's been its own kind of routine. But breakfast time has been a little more fast and loose. It's been like whenever my husband happens to wake up and get up. He seems to have a lot less routine in the summer as well, even though his job was outside the house. But during the school term time, then he will get up at exactly the same time as the children and come downstairs with us when I've kind of sorted them to bring us all down. So I think it will actually, it will actually help him too. So getting up before the children, like I say, through the summer's been very much to like get work done, but I think I'm going to try and get back to a bit more intention setting in the mornings, a bit more mindfulness, a bit more planning for the day. So obviously when I'm planning for my days, little ad for own product, I've got my Organised Life and Gratitude Planner, and for each day, if you just look at again, apologies if you're listening to this, you're just gonna have to use your imaginations. I've got, each day's got half-hour increments. I've got the top 3 priorities for the day, my to-do list for the day. So I kind of brain dump into that. And I've got a notes section, which really I should have just entitled ADHD brain dump, because that's where I just put all of my thoughts that I'm like, oh yeah, I just thought of this and I should really action that later, not right now. I need to keep doing what I'm doing now. And I've got 10 things I'm grateful for, and I've been trying to do this before bed each night, but if I'm honest, through the summer I've not been super on it with doing that. So I really feel that starting my day with things I'm genuinely grateful for, and they could be just, I'm really grateful I got this thing done yesterday, or it could be just, it doesn't have to be like massive things. Like if every day you just wrote, I'm grateful for my children, my house, it gets a bit boring. You're better off thinking, I'm grateful for these small wins, or progress I'm making, or that I managed to fit in 10,000 steps yesterday when I don't need normally, or whatever it might be. Just like they could be wins as well as things you're grateful for. And I really feel like getting that in at the start of the day, just again, it's like another little tick in the box to move towards getting out of bed on the right side, not the wrong side. So that's a massive one for me. And if I get this kind of gratitude stuff done in the morning, it gets done. It's not like it's a horrible task or anything, but it's often something that can be procrastinated and put off and ends up not getting done if life gets in the way and I get busy. So which is why through the summer, sometimes it's just not been happening. So I'm going to get back to my gratitude practice in the morning, back to doing movement in the morning. So I'm going to mix it up through September between strength workouts, Pilates, dance and yoga. For most of those, I use Apple Fitness Plus, which just, I like it because it syncs with my watch. All my stats go on the screen, but just, it's a case of doing whatever really works for you. And then for dance workouts, I really like a YouTube channel called The Fitness Marshal, who is very entertaining and great choreography, and it's fun to do those workouts. So those are kind of the things I'm going to be doing. But I think at the age of nearly 41, one of my biggest life lessons, can't use my words, life lessons that I have learnt, try saying that fast, is that there's no good trying to force yourself to do exercise you hate. So for years, I've really loved the idea of being a runner. I've tried a few times and I probably could have pushed harder and persevered and got there in the end, but I just realised I don't want to and I don't like it. And if you were trying to force yourself to do something that's like swimming upriver because you just do not enjoy it, it's very difficult to stick to it. It's very, very difficult. And I've just realised I'm not going to try and force myself to do something that I just don't like anymore. I'm going to do things I do enjoy doing. Like I like yoga. It feels good in my body. I love stretching. I used to dance when I was younger, so stretching feels like really good to me. I obviously, therefore, I love dance workouts. I like Pilates because it makes me feel kind of, I don't know, I guess it's quite reminiscent of like dancey kind of toning workouts. And strength workouts I like, probably not much at the time, but I do them in like short 10-minute bursts. But I like the way they make me feel strong. I like the way that, or I like the idea that, so therefore the results that I get. I like that I can potentially lift heavy cases without pulling my back, like I did on that trip in January. That was very painful. So as I'm doing it, it's like I'm doing this to keep my body strong. And I saw this reel the other day where there was like women my age going, I do this, and like lifting weights and doing strength training now, so that, and then it flipped to, I guess it was her mum or her gran or someone going, so I can do this. And she was just bending down to like pick something up and stand up. And she just looked really kind of buoyant and was doing it easily, but she was clearly in her late 70s, early 80s. And she's like, so I can do this when I'm older. And I love that idea. I love the idea that I'm building strength, that my children are getting older, but our youngest still likes to be picked up sometimes. I like the idea of being able to do that without hitting myself. Or if one of them was injured, being able to help them up, just I like the idea of being strong. So I'm not trying to be a runner anymore. I don't want to. I'm not going to. So I think the moral of this very long-winded story is just do something. Pick an exercise, pick some sort of movement that feels good to you. Again, like later on in my morning routine, I guess, that more like my working day, I'm going to stick back with doing my walking pad, walking and working at my desk. I do love that. I love it because it's easy. It helps me concentrate. I can multitask. Okay, I know that multitasking is a bit of one of these, like, is it good to multitask or bad to multitask? Well, I personally think there's two types of multitasking. There's beneficial multitasking, like listen to a podcast while you clean. That's like, hey, this is something that's keeping me company, plus I'm getting to listen to it. That's good multitasking. Trying to fill in a form and also pay a bill at the same time, that's not good multitasking because you're not concentrating on anything. So from that point of view, if you're trying to do two separate tasks at the same time like that, that's not good. But for me, multitasking, as in walking and working, works amazingly because it's one thing I'm doing like subconsciously without thinking, the walking while I'm working. And it has been a godsend this summer because without that walking and working, I just wouldn't have been able to fit in, let's face it, the exercise would have been the one that got kicked to the curb because I still would have had to do the work. And I just love that multitask. I just feel like I've cracked some sort of cheat code for life. How didn't I think of it before? I have got a full video on my main channel called something like I walked 100 miles in 30 days and this is what happened. And since then, actually, I've walked about an average of 100 miles a month since then. So yeah, just go and check out that video if you're interested in my setup and what it's all about. I will try and link that below for you so that you can go and watch it. So my morning routine is definitely going to look like trying to fit in movement in the form of one of those exercises, hydrating, and a little bit of journaling, gratitude, and planning out for the day before the children get up. And then my plan is, morning routine wise, to get them up and do our standard morning routine. There are lots of morning routine videos on my main channel, Mummy of Four. Again, I will link a playlist of morning routine videos if you're interested in watching those and hopefully get loads of ideas from them because my morning routine has tweaked a lot as the children have changed in age. So that is going to make a difference to you depending how old your children are. So then we all have breakfast together and I take them to school. And then when I get back, I'll be getting on with as much focused work as possible. Now, I wonder if something I'd like to do, whether I will achieve this or not, but something I would like to do for this kind of new year, new start, is allocate some pleasant time during the day to either, I don't know, I'm not sure how this is going to look, to either be able to do something totally non-work related and indulgent or something more kind of creative in my business than my kind of just standard keeping the wheels turning. So if you don't know what I do, I mean, I podcast and create YouTube videos. I also have a planner store. So there are new products I want to develop. There are new things I want to do. And sometimes I think we're so stuck in the doing the basics to keep the wheels turning. So for me, that's filming and editing videos, that sometimes I'm not thinking outside the box. And I'd really like to allocate some time, either, I don't know whether I'm going to do it each day or a block of time each week, maybe an afternoon a week, to do that more kind of creative stuff rather than just the standard keeping the wheels turning stuff. So in a home setting, that could look like taking time to declutter a cupboard rather than just do the standard basic cleaning, so like the deeper stuff. But the other thing I would like to do is actually make some time to see friends a little bit more. I really feel that like I've got a lot of lovely people in my life who are like general friends, and then I'm really lucky to have a small group of amazing friends. They're not necessarily all each other's friends, but I've got a few people that every time I catch up with them, I'm like, this is so good for my soul. And they say the same thing. And I'm like, why don't we do this more? I always just feel so much lighter when we've caught up. I feel like my head is clearer. I feel like I've been supported. I hope that they feel the same. And I just come away feeling amazing. And I really want to try and allocate time in, whether it's every week or like every month or whatever, to see certain people. Like my best friend, I speak to her every day on the phone. So, you know, I'm very lucky. And we chat like while I'm walking to go and get the kids from school or something, which is another really good example of multitasking. But I would love to actually, like, maybe just once a month, actually see her in person. She doesn't live super close, so that would be quite a big thing for us to arrange. But if we could do that once a month, that would be so amazing. Or I don't know, just maybe if I could like set aside even an hour a week during my work week while the children are in school to just sit and like watch a show. Like, what? How amazing would that be? So I guess what I want to be able to do is, I mean, ultimately, I want to be able to be more productive while I am working. And this is kind of what I've been trying to work on and hack for years. It turns out I've just been trying to hack ADHD. But if I can be more productive in my working hours, maybe I can guilt-free be like, hey, I've got everything I need to get done. I can take this time to go meet a friend. Or I've got everything that I want to get done. So I can take this time to create a new product for my planner store, because all the stuff that has to be done, because it's all like time specific, it's all going to be done by a certain time, is done. Or yeah, just be able to just sit and do nothing guilt-free for a bit. That's the dream, isn't it? Is that the dream? So I am doing a lot of work on how to hack this kind of ADHD mum life productivity, be more productive while I'm working thing. I think one of the things I've massively learned is I work quite well under deadlines, and when I feel like I've got all day, is this Pareto, let me get this straight now, there's Pareto's principle and there's the 80-20. I'm not talking about the 80-20, I'm talking about, oh no, it's Parkinson's law, isn't it? Parkinson's law. The task expands as if to fit the time given. So if you have 3 hours to carry out a task, it'll take 3 hours, and if you've only got 30 minutes, you'll get it done in 30 minutes. And I feel that perhaps this is an ADHD thing, but one thing I've noticed, and I've sort of noted this through the summer, is how productive I've been during those morning work sessions. Now, it is possible the fact that I've been taking ADHD medication has had an impact on that. And I'm not going to go into that massively in this episode because that's a whole conversation for another day. And there are videos I've created for my main channel about that. But if you want to ask me anything about ADHD medication, or you want to see a whole podcast episode discussing it, let me know down in the comments. Or I guess you can't comment if you are listening to this, so you could just DM me, Real Talk With Rhi podcast, or rhi@mummyoffour.com, and just sort of send your questions. But I think I've learned that working under these tight deadlines really, really works with my brain. So I'm going to try and set myself some fake deadlines in September and sort of experiment with how that goes during the day. Okay, so back to routine. I think one of the things that really, really helps to support the morning routine, ultimately, well, there's two things. There's the night before routine and there's the weekend routine. So the night before, just making sure that everything is where it needs to be. Like, just quick mental check. Who's got PE tomorrow? If you've got to prepare lunches, preparing the basics of those the night before. If there's a certain thing that's needed for school, doing all that the night before rather than in the morning allows you a little bit of breathing space. And if anything's missing or needs to be done, great. Even better than that is getting your weekends, allocating a little bit of time in your weekends to prep for the week. And this, I cannot tell you how game changing it's been doing this. So I was always one of those people that was like, ew, what have we got for dinner tonight? And it just broke me every single day. And that what are we going to eat tonight thing was just a nightmare. I now have the what are we going to eat nightmare once a week rather than 7 times a week, because I meal plan. And if you have my organised life and gratitude planner, which again I will link down below, but there's a space for meal planning. So again, apologies if you're listening, but you can't, because you can't see this. But in my week at a glance, I kind of put the what's happening. I put the people across the top and then the days down the side, and I just do a brief outline of who's got what. So who's got dance which night, who's got swimming, who's got karate, and then I know roughly which nights are going to be like busy nights that have got to be a super quick meal, and which nights I've got to cook a bit more. And then once a week I go through the ingredients I need to use up. So maybe there's something that is going to go off or I've got a lot of that I need to use up. I meal plan based on who's home every night. Sometimes not everyone's home. And so if someone's not home, for example, then I would feed everyone else a dish that one person really wasn't fussed on. So that's worth considering. And then from my meal plan, I do my shopping list. And then I've taken to booking my grocery deliveries at the same time every week. And that slot just stays the same every week. And I book them a month in advance. And then the night before, I get a little text going, hey, have you remembered you've got an order tomorrow? And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks very much. And I input all the stuff from my shopping list into my app for the groceries. And then that stuff shows up. It shows up first thing in the morning, before school, way before school. Because that way I know that everything's really fresh. So if you get the bread and stuff, then it's fresh that morning from the bakery. And it's so it has changed the game doing that. It really has, because that, oh God, what are we going to eat tonight? Is such a nightmare. And before I would spend all this money on groceries, I would throw away half the food because it had gone off and I still wouldn't know what to feed everyone. So meal planning honestly changed my life. But also preparing the uniform for the week on the weekends changed my life. I know it sounds quite dramatic to say it changed my life, but it changed my flipping life, because there is nothing more stressful than one of your children saying on the morning on the way at the house, where's my so-and-so? I haven't got a t-shirt. And just you're having to interrupt your morning flow of the things you should be doing to find something and magic something that you don't have time to wash and dry. And it's just it's giving kind of getting out on the wrong side of bed vibes, when it's that kind of stress coming around in the morning. And if you've got everything organised on the weekends, it's a bit of a pain because you've got to do it on the weekends, but it makes the mornings go so smoothly. So that kind of part of the routine, it's the morning routine is key, but to support the morning routine, we have the evening routine. But to support the evening routine, we have the weekend routine where we plan for the week. And it's all these little pieces that really have changed the game. I'm definitely going to be implementing in September. So I am going to attempt to prioritize self-care a little bit more in September. And self-care does not just mean bubble baths with cucumber on your eyes, because I'm going to be honest, that doesn't even appeal to me a little bit. But I'm definitely going to endeavour to get to bed at a sensible time. That's one of the things I really need to do for self-care, and to give myself enough time in my evenings to go up to bed. So I like to shower nice and early so that the shower isn't waking me up, because if I shower literally just before bed, I'm really sleepy, and then I get in the shower and then I'm awake and I'm like, oh, I'm awake now, and that's really annoying. So I'm going to stick with showering nice and early, which is kind of what I've always done, but really give myself a bedtime that is different from my sleeping time. So a time where I'm like, right, okay, I'm going to bed now, because let's face it, when I go up to bed, it's oh, I'll just put the washing on, just do, it's like pottering on my way up to bed, and then do my skincare, and then I'm going to try and do a little bit of reading every night before bed. Not necessarily personal development stuff, because I find that awakens my brain and makes me think, oh, I've had this great idea. But fiction, I just need to try reading something to switch off my brain. And when I get into doing that, I read all the Bridgerton books after the first series of Bridgerton. I was reading those before bed and I love them. So I guess I need a fiction series that I can binge. Answers in the comments, please. Which ones can you recommend? But I'm really going to try and do that as self-care. So have a think about what you can do that is self-care. And I just think allowing myself to have that nice evening routine that will allow me to sleep for long enough is self-care. That in itself is self-care. So obviously we have to remember that all this routine we want to implement in order to kind of make our lives go smoothly and ultimately free up more time. So the main thing for me for routine is it's freeing up bandwidth in my brain. It's freeing up time, because I'm not wasting loads of time chasing my tail going, I haven't got this, where's this? Oh, because that's wasted time. That's really unpleasant time, and that's time that's really sucking your energy. But we still need to realize that routine needs to be adapted. So sometimes illness is probably the classic one, that as you move towards Christmas, routine is going to go out the window. So I think you have to kind of be kind to yourself and think, right, well, the children were ill last night. I was up all night. I'm not going to be able to do my early morning routine. And I've got to be okay with that, as long as we kind of get back into it when things return to normal. But this is something I struggle with a little bit, because I think I worry that if I lose routine, I won't get back to it. If I stop exercising, then I won't get back to it. I think because historically through my life, I've really struggled to stick to things, and it's really taken a lot of discipline and a lot of reading a lot of personal development books to help sort of make myself stick to things, that I have this underlying fear that if I quit something, I won't pick it back up. It's almost like I'm scared to sit down because I won't get back up.
which actually is the thing that I'm like quite often. I feel like I have to keep going, because as soon as I sit down, I'm like, oh, I'm done now, I can't get back up. So that's something I need to work on. I think I need to work on knowing that, like, obviously my routine has to adapt, but knowing that when things go back to normal, then I'll get back to it, and just trusting myself that I'll do that. Hopefully some of that has given you some ideas of how you can kind of help yourself and your kiddos get into a really good routine for September, so that this can be the best back to school ever, and ultimately we can free up more of our cognitive load. We can feel lighter, happier, and just generally living our best lives. So thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk with Rhi. I shall see you guys next week. Bye.